Hi guys, we are into the second chapter, writing and the city life. In this, we have seen so far the geographical features of Mesopotamia. Then we went on to see the significance of urbanism. Followed by that, we saw how the goods were moved from one place to another in Mesopotamia. Then we saw how did the writing develop. Then the last question we saw was the no description about the urbanization in the southern Mesopotamia. So far we have seen five question answers. Now we are into the sixth one, that is life in the city. Here we are going to discuss about a very important city called Ur, which is located in the southern part of Mesopotamia. Okay, we are going to see Ur. Fine. So the first paragraph is all about the introduction. Now we are concerned with the second paragraph. We know from the legal text like disputes and inheritance matters, ये सब जो legal text books है, यहाँ से हमें पता चलता है कि Mesopotamian society was Mesopotamian society, the nuclear family was the norm. So, what was the family like in Mesopotamia? It was a nuclear family. We know nuclear family comprises of a man and his wife and children. So, no grandparents and no uncle, aunts, and niece and nephews, or nobody is there. Only just no husband, wife, and children. So, Mesopotamian society was of a nuclear family. Although a married son and his family often resided with his parents, sometimes the married son also resides with the parents. It is exception है. The father was the head of the family. We all know patriarchy वहाँ पे भी practice हुआ था. Then the father was head of the family. We know a very little about the procedures of very marriage. So now we are going to see. This is about Mesopotamian society. Suppose a question comes, describe the Mesopotamian society. Yeah, describe the no about the what do you know about the marriage of Mesopotamia? What do you know about the marriage life of Mesopotamian civilians? So any question regarded family, society, marriage, this is the answer. Okay, for you to write in a copy, the question would be describe the Mesopotamian society. Okay, so Mesopotamian society was of a nuclear family society in which the male member was head of the family. That's what you need to write. Then how marriages take place. A declaration was made about the willingness to marry, the bride's parents giving their consent to the marriage. Okay, so bride gives the consent, the parents of the bride gives the consent. Then the gift was given by the groom's people to the bride's people. Okay, तो इसके बाद gift देते हैं. Then when the wedding took place, gifts were exchanged by both the parties. See, even today in Indian society, this is all happens. Okay, so first, no willingness hona chahiye. They should give their consent. Then once consent is there, then gift was given by the bridegroom. Then bridegroom's family. Then when the marriage, especially when marriage takes place, gifts exchanged between both the parties. Then who ate together, made offerings in the temple, all that. Abhi bhi karta hai. We go to temples, church, and mosque for for the marriage to take place. When her mother-in-law came to fetch her after the marriage, जब विदाई होती है, the bride was given her share of inheritance by her father. So this is called Stridhan. Even today in India, we believe in this. So all these things were prevalent in Mesopotamia also. So very important. The father's house, herds, fields were inherited by the sons. But some gifts like Kanyadan, we talk about Kanyadan, we talk about Sridhan. So we will study all this in class 12th. So all these things are given to the girl on the day when the mother-in-law comes to take the bride with her. So this is all about the Mesopotamian society, a Mesopotamian society's family life. So about marriage. So any question regarding this? This is your answer. So put the question like this: describe the Mesopotamian family life. Describe the Mesopotamian society. Anything regarding that, you have to write these 4 5 points. That's a separate question. Now we are getting into another very important long answer talking about the urbanization of Ur. Okay, urbanization of Ur. How Ur was urbanized and what was the we can say what are the things excavated from the this one of the earliest cities of Ur. So excavations taken from this Ur, yeah, urbanization. One of the earliest cities to have been excavated is Ur. Ur was a town whose ordinary houses were systematically excavated in 1930. So first time ordinary houses, not only royal but also ordinary houses were systematically excavated. Narrow winding street indicate that the street was very narrow, because of which the wheeled carts could not reach the many houses. Even sacks of grain and firewood all carried on a donkey's back only. So they were not the bullock carts were not able to reach the no doorways of the houses. So donkeys were used because the streets were very narrow. This is the first point that you need to write in your answer. When you talk about this, narrow winding streets and irregular shapes of houses plots also indicate absence of town planning. Yes, very important. There was a town absence of town planning in Ur because of all these things, because narrow winding streets, irregular shapes of houses were not built constructed in a very systematic clear line mein nahi tha. So all these things. So there were no street drains of the kind we find in Mohenjo-daro. No, Mohenjo-daro mein we'll study about this Mohenjo-daro next year in your first lesson itself, class 12, in which we talk about the urbanization of Mohenjo-daro, in which perfect planning was there for every house to be constructed, even drainage ke liye, everything we will study. So it is just opposite Ur. But drains and clay pipes were used, were instead of found in the inner courtyards of wood houses, and it thought the house the roof. Okay, that is fine. You can leave this line. So you have to write. Now we have discussed so far only 2 points. One is narrow winding streets leading to no leading for the usage of donkeys for the carriage of the grains and other things, firewood to their houses. And it indicate that the narrow winding streets and irregular shapes of houses indicate that there was an absence of town planning in Ur. If you write that much, that's enough. We are getting into, they used mm, in order to the house roof sloped inwards and the rainwater was channelized via drain pipes into the inner courtyard. See, even today we are using this. The house roofs were no, they had as kind of pipes, drain pipes, which led the water into the inner courtyards. Okay, this would have been the way preventing unpaved streets from becoming exclusively. They wanted to, they did not want this the water to get into the street. जो rain water जो from the roof जो rain water निकलते हैं, उसको स्ट्रीट की तरफ ये लोग नहीं निकालते थे. They somehow they made such a pipes so that it can get into the inner layer of the courtyards. It is within the drainage system of the houses. Thus the street does not become so slushy. Okay, so it doesn't become so much wet, and a lot of moisture is not to be brought. You can avoid this point if you are not comfortable writing this. Okay, yet people had their own, okay, swept all their household refuse मतलब garbage या drainage जो water है. No, they had all their refuse drainage into the street to be no, they had to be trodden underfoot. So yet people seem to have been swept all their household refuse into the street to be trodden under the foot. But they somewhat regulated the rainwater to get into the inner courtyards, whereas the the wastewater, which is refuse, the wastewater which is released from the house, was allowed into the street. This made the streets level rise, and over time thresholds of the houses had also to be raised so that no mud. तो इसीलिए धीरे धीरे प्लेटफॉर्म ये लोग बढ़ा के they started building the houses on the upper platform so that this kind of waste and all gets carried underneath, not over the street. The beginning it was over the street, then later on it got converted because they raised the level of houses, threshold of the houses, so that the mud would flow inside after the rains also. Then this is the third point that you have to write. Light came into the rooms not from windows but from the doorways opening into the courtyard. So they never had windows, but they had only this one doorways from where the water came, and this would also have given families for their privacy. The when privacy yoga, because there is no window, only main door, so privacy is there. Nobody thought about air circulation and all that time, so privacy के लिए ज़्यादा important देते थे, so they did not have windows but only the light came directly from the main door. There were superstitions about the houses recorded. There were some superstitions about recorded in women's tablets at Ur. You know, women some giving some fortune, giving some foretelling about the future omens. So there were some superstitions. What are the superstitions about the houses of Ur? One is a raised threshold brought wealth. अगर आपके जो प्लेटफॉर्म है अगर जो थोड़ा सा ऊंचा हो तो उस घर में ज्यादा wealth आएगा, ज्यादा they will have more and more riches. That these are all superstitions. A question, separate question can come. What are all the superstitions about the houses of Bur recorded in a woman tablets? Questions आ सकते हैं separately for your 3 marker. Otherwise, it's a long answer. The urbanization of Bur is a long answer, in which we are talking about a short answer also, a possibility of having a short answer within. So first superstition. Second superstition, a front door that did not open towards another house was lucky. If you have a house and that front door of that house, when you open it, does not see the opposite houses, opposite घर का जो दरवाजा दोनों आमने सामने नहीं हो, then the house is considered to be lucky. If both houses are having face to face door, then the houses are not lucky. This is also another superstition. Third superstition, if the main wooden door of a house opened outwards instead of inwards, the wife would be a torment to her husband. So what do you mean by this? The main door, see, when you open it, some houses are there that opens outward. When you open the door, both the doors go outside. Some, when you open it, you have to pull inside. So it is supposed to be inside, inwards. So inwards होना चाहिए according to Mesopotamians belief. It should be inwards, but some houses have got a outwards door. If it is outwards door, then the superstition says that the wife of that house would be a misery to the husband. Yeah, she will have more and more she will give more torture to the husband. Yeah, she will become herself a misery to the husband. So this is all some of the superstitions. Okay, there are one, two, three superstitions, so which may turn it to be a short answer. Okay, then the 3 plus 3 6 points. हो गया. There was a town cemetery also in which graves of the royalty as well as commoners were found, but few individuals were found buried at the floor of their old ordinary houses. This is the seventh point. There were some ordinary cemetery, houses in which commoners and royal people all found together buried. Okay, symmetry, Kabristan. So seven and one more point you can extend. So 8 points you can add. So this will be your long and this will be a long answer for you. So the first point, Ur is one of the earliest cities to have been excavated, and the first town where the ordinary houses were systematically excavated. Is the first line. ये first point में बन सकता है. So you have to, if it is a long answer, it has to have 8 points. Okay. Okay, fine. So with this, we complete no one short answer, one long answer in your copy to be written. One short and one long. The first one is Mesopotamian family life or society. Second is about the urbanization of Ur. Now we are into the next important question, that is a trading town in a pastoral zone. Okay, see, if you are study the geographical features, we studied that the western side, okay, almost the northwestern side of that of Mesopotamia is a steppe land where you have pastoralism practiced, herding of the animals practiced. So in which lies the place called Mari. So this Mari is known for slowly it was known for a trading town because of many reasons. Because it is located on the banks of river Euphrates, thus it is becoming, the map it is given. See, Mari is the trading town, but it is located in a pastoral zone. So that's a question. So explain Mari as a trading town in a pastoral zone is the question. Explain a trading town. Explain Mari, comma, a trading town in a pastoral zone. So that is the question, in which you have to discuss about. The answer starts from here. You know, um, Yes, from here, some communities in the kingdom of Mari had both farmers and pastoralists, but most of the territory was used for pasturing sheep and goats. That's the first point that you have to write. Actually, it had farmers as well as pastoralists, but most of them were pasturing sheep and goats. Herders need to exchange young animals, cheese, leather, meat in return for grain. They cannot eat always cheese and this one milk and meat. So they have to exchange with the grain. They need grain to eat. Grain के लिए metal tools सब के लिए. And the manure of the penned flock is also a great use to farmers. So they exchange this, and farmers also buy some cheese and leather and all that. Even the manure, okay, no manure is a fertilizer like a natural manure, which is taken out from the flock, collected from the flock. This one refuse waste is given to the farmers. So this is the first second point that you need to write. Yet at the same time, they may be in conflict. Sometimes conflict इनके बीच में conflict होता था. What is the conflict? The shepherd may take his flock to the water across the sown field. जो crop field है वहां जाके पूरा उसको ruin करते हैं. उसमें ये लोग क्या कर देते हैं? This one, what is that, sheep or goats को छोड़ देते हैं, so that they can ruin it, and the sheep and goat eat enough from the crops. The herdsmen being mobile can raid even agriculture villages, और रेड कर सकते हैं वहां से जो भी है सब सीज करके लेके आ सकते हैं. नो, दे कैन स्टील ऑल दिस. So the settled groups did not allow the pastoral group cross the river, and no, across that river is the farming community, and this side is the pastoral community. So you have eastern side the farming community, western side you have pastoralist community. Now they have a conflict, though they have give and take. उनके बीच में give and take होता है. Even then they have a conflict. What is the conflict is given in the your third point. Okay. Now, though Mesopotamian history, nomadic communities on the western desert filtered. So slowly through the Mesopotamian history, now some nomadic communities from the western desert filtered into the prosperous agricultural heartland, and shepherds, why they came in search of their work. Okay, for some work they came. They know some pastoral communities, they came in summer. They said we need some work and we have some animals. We will graze our animals also after the harvest. जो लैंड में जो बच जाता है उसमें हम उनको ग्रेज करेंगे. We will no we will graze them, and no, you give us some work, we will also become harvest laborers and hired soldiers. Any work we will do, but we want to settle down here. So some nomadic communities from western desert came, and they got settled in the area, no, northwestern area. Okay, western side say northwestern side. Now a few gained power to establish power. Few gained power to establish their own rule, like Akkadians, Amorites, Assyrians, and Armenians. These are some of the pastoral communities. Who are these people? These are nomadic communities, came from western desert, Saudi Arabian desert, came and got settled here. They came and got settled here. Okay, and they were slowly, they were doing some menial jobs like harvest laborers, soldiers, and all that. Slowly they became powerful when they had their own strength. We'll study about them in chapter 5. The kings of Mari were Amorites, whose dress is different from original inhabitants, who respected not only the gods of Mesopotamia but also raised a temple at Mari fort. So these kings of Mari, that Amorites, the Amorites का rule चल रहा था. उनका dressing sense थोड़ा सा original inhabitants से अलग था, and they respected Mesopotamian god को भी respect देते थे, as well as they raised a temple at Mari for Dagon, the god of Stephi. Very very important one marker. So, what is Dagon? Dagon is a god of the Stephi. Temple is being constructed in Mari for this god, Dagon. Okay, this was a god of Stephi land, grassland. Mesopotamian society and culture were thus open to different people and cultures. So, thus, so many people came and got settled, and if they are powerful, and they started ruling also. Thus, the civilization was an intermixture. Okay, so there is a source given here. Okay, so. Yes. So the palace at Mari King Zimrilam. Zimrilam is a king. Okay, the name of the king of Mari. Now, before that, let us just put all the points in order. Or how many points we have discussed so far. The first one to write is it had both farmers as well as the pastoralists. Majority was pastoralists, and they had a great exchange. Need to exchange their things in. Sometimes they need to exchange what they have and all that. And there are also sometimes the conflict between them. The conflict is that the pastoralist community engaging in raiding and even destroying the crops of the farmers. Thus settled farmers don't want the pastoralists to get inside. Through the history of Mesopotamia, we can come to know that nomadic communities from western area got inside and they were doing some menial jobs. But when they got powerful and they started ruling, they some of them like Akkadians, Amorites, and Assyrians, Armenians. But when Amorites were ruling, they had their own different dress from the local people, and they respected both Mesopotamian god as well as they had their own god of Mari. They had their own god of Mari. So I think 5 points we have discussed in this. You have to make 5 points out of this. Then we have we have the source here. This source talks about the residents of the royal family. The palace. How what are the things it had? Several huge quantities of food. Even each day, king's table, bread, meat, fresh, everything is there. No. Almost ate in a company of others. Almost hundreds paid a little. You will notice all these people doing great service to the king. So this source is all about what are the things that uh, uh, the palace at Mari when Zimrilim was ruling. What are the things that the palace had and how uh, lavishly they spent the day? Okay, so almost 260 rooms and all that. Okay, fine. You can read this source. And we have no the kings of Mari. However, they had to be very very vigilant. We had a lot of kings like Akkadians, Amorites. They had to be very vigilant. Herders of various tribes were allowed to move in the kingdom, but they were watched. So herders were allowed to move, but they were watched. They were being supervised, and the camps of the herders are mentioned frequently in letters between kings and the officials. In one letter, the officer writes to the king that he has been seeing the frequent fire signals at night sent by one camp to another. He suspects a raid can be conducted. All these things. So they are, the kings are very very vigilant about the activities of the herders, and any herder, any group can come within the kingdom, but they are always watched. Any mistake done, they are being punished. So this is all of whatever we have discussed so far. This is the sixth point. Whatever we have discussed so far is all about Mari. Now this is a pastoral town of Mari. Now how it became a trading town? That's what we are going to see. See, it became a trading town because it is located in a very prime position for trade on the banks of River Euphrates, in wood, copper, tin, oil, wine, various other goods that were carried in boats along the river of a course of Euphrates between the south and the mineral-rich uplands of Turkey, Syria, and Lebanon. Mari is a good example of urban center, prospering trade, and all this. So Mari is becoming a place where the trade is being controlled. So it is for this reason that Mari is considered to be the trading town in the pastoral zone, because it is located on the banks of River Euphrates, and the all the boats that travel from south to from between the south and the mineral rich uplands of Turkey, Syria, and Lebanon, they have to stop in Mari. Why they have to stop? Because boats carrying all these grinding stones, woods, wine, and oil jars would stop at Mari on their way to southern cities, and officers of this town would go up abroad. No, would go into the boat to inspect the cargo, whether single river boat could hold more. No, they will check whether 300 wine jars से ज़्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए, and they have to levy a charge tax 1/10 of the value of the goods that they are having. So thus Mari is becoming more and more rich because of this. So it is kind of they are paying kind of import and export duty to these people. Most important tablets refer copper from Alasia is a place, the island of Cyprus. It is located in Cyprus island of known for its copper. One marker very important, and it is being this copper from Malaysia is being transported through the streams of Euphrates via Mari to the southern cities. And even tin also an important item of trade. As bronze was the main industrial material for tools and weapons, this trade was of great importance. Thus, although Kingdom of Mari was not militarily strong, it was exceptionally prosperous. It's the first town militarily इनके पास बहुत ज़्यादा armies नहीं थे, soldiers नहीं थे. Even then, it was very prosperous because of this reason. So this is there. You have to write this in 3 points. So earlier we have discussed 6 points. 6 plus 3 8. You have to write any of this. Yeah, out of 9, you have to write 8 points. Thus, this question becomes an long answer. Okay. So we have done two long answer and one short answer in this video. And excavating Mesopotamian towns. See, this is a source given how especially Ur was excavated, and take example of a small town called Abu Salabik. So this is the name of the town when they were excavating about 100 acres area and all that. So what are the things they I excavated from there? The plant seeds, fish bones, and plants and animals, and so a lot of things. What are the things they have got excavated from there? So please read, and some sources you have to read for yourself. We can only give the guidelines. We cannot read each and every line for you to make and understand. Any doubt, we can clarify it. Otherwise, this source is all about how excavation done and what are the things where what are the things discovered from the excavation site of Abu Salabik. So that is the source is all about. So this source also you have to read. Cities in Mesopotamia culture and legacy of writing we are leaving out. It's not so much into the topic of ours. So with this we are completing this lesson. Okay, we these two sources, an early library and early archaeologist. We are not reading it. We are not taking it. Okay. So with this we are winding up this lesson. So this lesson has got 5 plus 3 8 questions in your copy. 8 questions to be written. So before I wind up, I would like to recall what we have discussed today. We started with uh, the Mesopotamian family or Mesopotamian society. It was a nuclear family we discussed. Then we went on to discuss about the marriage in Mesopotamia, in which the consent is given by the bride. Then the gifts exchange between them on the day of the marriage. Of course, both the families exchange their gifts. Then we went on to discuss about when the mother-in-law comes to take the bride with her, the father of the parents of the bride, exchange, give their gift, except this herds, fields. Other than that, some gifts are given. So in which Indian tradition, Sridhana or Kanyadan, we can talk about. So that is all about the marriage. Then we went on to talk about the excavation of Ur, yeah, urbanization of Ur, in which we talked about narrow winding leading the wheel carts not allowed to reach the main houses. Thus, the sacks of grain and firewood would have been carried on a donkey back. Then this narrow street and irregular shapes of the house indicate the absence of towning. Then it is just opposite to Mohenjo-daro. Then we went on to talk about the rainwaters being very efficiently channeled through the drain pipes into the sums, into some, meaning the ground, in which water is sewage flow, the basin, that pipe. But whereas they used to navigate, or they used to leave out this refuse from the house, that the wastage from the waste from the house into the street. So that no so people slowly they started elevating, shifting the threshold houses, because they raised it, because the mud would not flow into the houses when after the rain. So that is another point. Then light came directly from the main door, not through the windows, and it is because the privacy also very important for them. And there are three superstitions about the houses of Ur. That is, the three superstitions. One is the front door. Sorry, if the elevated threshold brought lot of wealth, then the front door, if it faces the other houses, then it is not lucky. Then the main door opened outwards instead of inwards, the wife of that house would be very misery torment to the husband. Then there was a common cemetery for all commoners as well as royalty, and some individuals are buried under the floors of their ordinary houses only. That's all about this. Then we went on to discuss about trading town in a pastoral zone. Trading town is Mari. Mari is considered, had a lot of, farmers as well as pastoralists, but majority of them were pastoralists. And pastoralists and farmers, they used to exchange between them. The west side pastoralists and the eastern side were farmers. They used to exchange between their produce with one another. But even then there were a lot of conflicts, because pastoralists always in mobile, always in move, हमेशा वो move पे रहते हैं, अपने animals को साथ में लेके चलते हैं. So they intended to have some raid over the settled communities, that is agricultural community, which caused the agriculture community to, avoid these people, deny the pastoralists access to river and all that. Then through the history we can come to know that some communities, nomadic communities from western desert, filtered into this area, and they came for menial jobs like, soldiers, laborers and all that. But slowly when they gained their power, they established their own rule, like Akkadians, Amorites and Assyrians and Armenians. But when Amorites were ruling, they differed themselves in dress from the original inhabitants of that area. Then they respected not only the Mesopotamian god, but also they had their own god called Dagon, for the god of the Steffi. Then we went on to discuss about, you know Mari, and the rulers were very vigilant, and the people, the pastoralists were allowed to move from one place, and they were given freedom to enter into the city without any hesitance. But they were always watched. They were kept to watch, and and so many orders were released on in their names. बाकी आप सब छोड़ सकते हैं. Then we went on to know the Mari is considered to be in the on the prime position of a trade, because it is located on the banks of Euphrates, and the goods that were, brought from foreign, from Turkey, Syria, and Lebanon all crossed to the south through Mari. Thus, there were officers who used to go and, check the, supervise the cargo, and also levy some tax over them, and thus a lot of income for the city. And Alasia is a place from where this very famous copper being traded, and it is known, this trade is known for tin and even bronze, all these things. So Mari, not militarily very strong, but it was exceptionally economically very prosperous. So that is all we discussed in this. So I expect you to write all these 8 questions, and some of you have sent me the answers, some of you have not, and I would like to see the answers as early as possible. Please keep this in mind. You have to do, because it is told to you to do. Okay. So please write the answers, and I see you in the next class. Till then, all of you take care. Bye bye.